My name is Aleks Slota, and I am a conceptual artist working primarily in sound and performance arts. So days in Ravensburg were good, but also a bit difficult because the equipment I brought with me is quite heavy and it was very warm. And I was actually wearing this jacket the whole time and I was sweating profusely. I came here to do a project titled Pied Piper, and the project is based on a quote. I remember watching a documentary about krautrock, for lack of a better term, and there was a man there interviewed. He's I have to look at my computer now. The quote is, "On the surface, Schlager isn't political at all, but that's what makes it political." And I found this really interesting quote, and the guy that said it is Wolfgang Seidel. Seidel is his name, and he was a musician, and he still is a musician. And the quote was really interesting to me because it's about a kind of music that's a very popular music and a populist music. And the idea is that this music has no political message at all in it, and that's exactly what's important about this kind of music. That it makes people complacent. That it doesn't ask any questions. It doesn't make you think at all. It makes you enjoy. And I thought, okay, what are other types of music in other places where I used to live that are similar to Schlager, that have the same kind of idea? And in Poland, these are all my opinions, of course. So in Poland, there's disco polo, and in America, it's pop country. This is what I consider to be equivalents to Schlager. And I decided to do a project in Ravensburg that mixes these three different styles that I'm somewhat familiar with. I mean, I don't listen to any of these styles of music. Previous to doing research for this project, I didn't listen to anything. Maybe I would hear it somewhere on the radio accidentally, but never on purpose. So this was a really interesting experience, just even researching for this project. And here in Ravensburg, I brought with me, I call it my total noise unit, which is a portable sound system that I carry on me. So it's in the form of a backpack and a front box with a speaker on it. And with this sound system, I walked around Ravensburg and I created soundscapes based on these three types of music. So sort of mixing, augmenting, and destroying the music, essentially. All these three types of music. So creating from this kind of very popular and populist musical styles, creating something of my own. Well, YouTube helps a lot because YouTube, I don't really want to look at what sells on Nielsen. I think YouTube is a good source to know how popular a certain type of music is. So on YouTube, I would just search Schlager hits, and then I would get a playlist of Schlager hits, and then I would look at the amounts of people, how many millions views each song had. And the same thing with disco polo, and the same thing with pop country, pop country hits, and see what were the kind of top three most popular pop country, disco polo, and Schlager songs. And then I pick those, and I use those as my raw material. The thing that connects all these three styles of music is this hypnotic repetition. So what I did is and I've done this in previous projects of mine where I make very short samples of music. So, a 2-second sample that repeats and repeats and repeats. I did an installation kind of performance, maybe I think 2 years ago, which was about creating a party in a space, and I called it Party Hard. And the music playing throughout the whole time was just a repetitive loop, so if you stayed there a long time, you obviously get bored, and my point with that was to see how long it would take people to realize that this song is never changing, this beat is never changing. And so from that experience, I decided to do the same thing with these three types of music, to take a very short loop and repeat it and sing it also for my own self to see if I can get in sort of a hypnotic trance, kind of repeating the same line, singing the same line over and over. Because again, I was moving through the city the whole time. So I really just wanted to catch people so they could hear maybe 10, 15 seconds of a thing, and they would realize it's never changing. And the music gets in your head. I mean, like in Germany, say the earworm. These things are definitely earworms because they're, especially with disco polo, I noticed, but also some Schlager hits, 140 BPMs, boom, boom, boom. So it's very driving music and very catchy choruses, very catchy instrumentation, very stupid lyrics, but also that, get drilled in your head because they're so repetitive. And in some ways you can say that about a lot of pop music, but this is especially takes it one step down quality-wise for me. So I hope no one's offended, but that's just how I feel. It fits perfectly in Ravensburg because I think in Berlin it's a lot easier to dismiss people quickly because weird stuff happens often. So you can say that guy's nuts or that guy's advertising. You think he's doing something. It's people I think are more cynical in Berlin because they see more stuff. And Ravensburg is a perfect place for it because it's quieter here and doesn't seem like out of the ordinary things happen that often. So to me, a place like this is perfect for a project that is a public performance piece that is not easy to contextualize. I think it works really well in a place like Ravensburg. And in the 3 days I was walking around, I tried to walk on all the streets in the center of town. So I covered a lot of ground, I feel like. And that was the idea, to get as many interactions as possible with people, to have as much contact, but not prolonged contact, but to touch as many people as possible with the sound. Yeah. I had some people commenting, one gentleman was on his bike and he drove by me pretty fast, but I think he said, "Are you on drugs?" or "You must be on drugs," or something like that. I had another guy, there was a corner and I was behind the wall around the corner, and he came by and just looked at me and went like crazy. So of course I started following him, when I saw him do this, I'm like, okay, you're not going to get away that easily. And then I had another gentleman come up to me and ask me if I knew who Nicki Minaj was. And then he asked me, "Do you have any Nicki Minaj?" And so he was asking, he was making a request, and I said no. And I said, "I only have this song." He's like, "You only have this one song?" And I said, "Yes." And he was very confused, shook his head, smiled, and walked away. So that was a funny moment. And those were the 3 interactions I had. I can remember, I never repeat performances, so it's very important for me to come at a project fresh. So when I saw the open call for this Art Without Audience project here in Ravensburg, I created a project from just this quote that I really liked about Schlager, and I also had this total noise unit system that I had that I wanted to use again in the context like that. Because before I used that box as a noise making machine, so walking around and making harsh noise. So this would be a totally different use for it. And I always try to make a performance response to the context of the place where I'm going to be performing. So knowing where Ravensburg was on the map and sort of understanding a bit about southern Germany, I thought, okay, this is an interesting place to do a project about Schlager and kind of popular music. And So my application here was new for Ravensburg, and I will not redo this project again. Well, I want to thank you guys for selecting my project. It was really nice to be here. And I had a really good time and a good response from people here in Ravensburg. So it was cool. It was cool to come. And like every project, this project is going to lead to another project. So this doesn't end here. The idea is, like I said, this idea of repetitive sounds or very short sound loops, it's going to carry on to other projects, new projects. So, it always lives on somehow. Thank you.
Cool. Perfect. 20 minutes, stuff to cut.
Good. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's so slippy.